Alright, so magandang araw mga ka-TGFI. We're back. Well, it's already another TGFI Live. It's November 17, 2016. Magandang araw naman. Kamusta kayo mga ka-TGFI? Sabi ko, mag-count kayo to 1 to 100. Hindi na namin kayo pinaghintay. Okay? So, again, we'll be having another TGFI Live session kayo. Kasama kayo. Ano yung topic natin? It's a very interesting topic because for the past days, the market has been what we can say, more of a lot of corrections. Diba, isang araw lang, na-experience natin, we went below 7,000 points for the Philippine Stock Index. Grabe, it reached even 6,800 points. Akala ng iba, market crash. And now, the market went up again. Bakit? Well, of course, we're talking about the latest news, no? Kakalabas lang, mainit na mainit, kanina lang. Our gross domestic product, it made a return of 7.1%. Wow, congratulations naman sa atin lahat. Okay, it's a good way, it's a good timing for us kasi yun nga, since first quarter of the year, ang ating naging performance was 6.9%. Second quarter, it's around 7%, and now it's 7.1%. Grabe no, it's pataas. Okay, pero sabi niya, what goes up must go down. Nakakatakot ba? But of course, again, kaya nga kasama natin ang isa sa ating expert in the market. So, mamaya makikilala natin siya. Okay, pag-uusapan natin, ano yung market crash na yan? Okay, what should we do? Pag market crash, should we sell? Should we buy more? Kailan ba nangyari yung latest or last market crash sa buong mundo? Ano nangyari? Anong story doon? Okay, mamaya pag-uusapan natin yan, mga ka-TGFI. But again, let's go back doon sa GDP, no? So, we've made a 7.1% return, no? I checked on the performance of the other countries, no? So, based sa performance na ibang bansa, no? So, let me check. Yan, nasaan yun? Hindi ko makita. Ayun. Here. Okay. Good thing, kasi China, China also reported their GDP for the third quarter, 6.7%. Okay? And Vietnam, so ito Vietnam, isa sa nakikita na kasabi nila no sa emerging markets, VIP daw yan. So, it's Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. So, Vietnam is one na kinikita ng buong mundo na one of the countries na may malaking potential, no? They were able to make the return from 5.7 to 8. It's now 6.4% for the third quarter. Okay, yung Indonesia kasama sa isang VIP natin na emerging markets from 5.19%, that's 5.02 ngayon. Okay, so medyo stable, hindi masyado gumalaw. Okay, Malaysia 4% to 4.3. Okay, Thailand it's 3.2 to 3.5, and of course Singapore from 2% to 2.6%. Yan, ako dati Singapore, ito yung pinakamaingay na bansa dati sa Asia kasi nga isa sa business hub of the Asia, no? Right now medyo underperforming yung kanilang country, yung kanilang economy, and the Philippines again nangunguna na naman tayo. We're 7.1%. Congratulations to all of us. Okay, ano nangyari? Okay, well, of course, alam naman natin, kakapasok ng bagong administration, no? So, there were a lot of spendings. Hanggang ngayon, ang dami pa rin government spending. Sinasabi natin na it's one of the healthiest ways. Kasi nga, umiikot yung pera ng government, mas maraming consumer na bumibili. Well, right now, it's going Christmas season already. It's November next month na, it's December already. Mas maraming spendings na mangyayari. But as of now, the good thing is that government are spending so much on infrastructure, on construction. Ito pa yung isang maganda kasi last quarter, yung agriculture negative yung pinaka-performance since pinondohan right now. I think ito isa to sa humila. Okay? So, agriculture, isa sa nagpaangat ng return of the GDP. I haven't checked yet yung performance of our yung contribution ng agri-industry natin. But ang kagandahan nga doon kasi government they're willing to spend on the agri-industry. Which is why, pag masasabi natin na ano ba ang kagandahan ng nangyayari ngayon, no? A lot of, even yung pinaka nangunguna sa atin, no? they want to let the Filipinos know that we have a good potential, okay, in terms of our agri-industry. Okay? Now, since they're willing to spend, the Filipinos we must be ready, of course, na tignan yung industriya nito and create more entrepreneurs. Diba? According to our study, sabi nila ang median age or yung average age ng Filipino farmers since 2014 was around 57 years old. Medyo tumatandang edad na, no? Tumatandang age ng ating mga Filipino farmers. Okay? Kasi nga, ano ba yung retirement age natin? It's 65 years old. Okay? For our Filipino farmers, ang average age, it's 57 years old. Grabe, no? So, ano ibig sabihin nun? We need to convert new Filipino Filipino agripreneurs rather. We need to convert more Filipinos na titignan yung potential ng agri-industry, no? More fishermen, more farmers. Okay, so ibig sabihin, kailangan mas ma-promote pa, kailangan mas ma-educate pa. Which is why the good side of this is that for TGFI, we also support the potential of the agri-industry sa Pilipinas. Kung kaya, we'll be having a webinar this November 25. Sakto yung plugging. We'll have a webinar this November 25. Okay, the title of our webinar, this one is a paid webinar. No? So, nagbabalik ang ating mga paid webinars starting with November 25. The title of the webinar is Learn to Start Your Own Fish Farming Business. Ito po ay kasalukuyang nakalagay sa ating caption and then what you will see from the screen right now. Ayan, Learn to Start Your Own Fish Farm Business. Ayan, okay, nakikita nyo na ng mga ka-TGFI. I'm also going to comment it in our comment thread. Ayan, join us because this one is a good way for you to also learn the aquaculture industry. Di ba, ano ba yung aquaculture? Yan yung, sabi nila, yung pag-aalaga ng lahat ng mga nabubuhay sa karagatan, sa tubig, ayan, yung mga isda, yung mga prawns, di ba? Yung pag-aalaga doon, okay? So, farming fish, farming prawns, yan yung aquaculture. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about it. Of course, in partnership with Tate Aqua Feeds, tuturuan nila tayo. Yung modules niya nandun sa mismong link that I just commented. Join us this November 25. This is a paid webinar again. There's a cost for this. Of course, sabi nga natin, kailangan mag-invest tayo in our education. Lalo it's December, you have more time, more free time, okay? So, November 25, if you want to watch the live webinar, so it's live again, no? You can join us. If you want to watch the whole year access, so same link, you can access this for the whole year. Okay, it's only for the cost of 500 pesos. So, good things that, of course, marami ka pang matutulungan. Then, good side of this that you also will learn something and makikita mo ano yung potential mo as an OFW na gustong maging agripreneur sa Pilipinas. So at least you get to learn the first steps, okay? So lalo na sa inyo, 'di ba? Alam naman natin ang Pilipinas nasasakupan tayo ng iba't ibang karagatan sa buong mundo. Okay? So, kung ikaw, nakikita mo na nga na we are covered with all the water in the world, no? Ano pa ba gagawin mo? Maglilipat ka pa ba ng ibang industriya na papasukin para ikaw kumita ng sobra-sobra? You can try agripreneurship. You can try aquaculture industry. You can be a entrepreneur of this industry. You just have to do, or your first step is, i-click mo lang yung link. Okay, you'll see already from our comment site. You just have to click it. Okay, so again, I would like to say hi to all of our viewers watching. Hello kay Alan Poblete. Ayan, Alan Poblete Almira, kay Myra Dariowan, kay Jasmine Pabelonia, hello, magandang gabi sa iyo from the Philippines, magandang gabi. Anong oras na dyan sa iyo? Nasa Italy siya ngayon. Okay? Hi, magandang araw sa iyo. Okay? And of course, hello din kay JD's 2.5. Ayan, kanina kasi nagbibilangan tayo kung oras kami mag-online. Okay? So, again, magandang araw sa inyo mga ka-TGFI. So, yan lang. Tune in lang kayo if you have questions on our topic for today. Our topic for today is lessons learned from the past stock market panics. Diba? So, kung kayo ay nag-i-invest na ngayon sa stock market, or kayo ay may investment man sa iyong equity fund, mutual fund man yan, UITF man yan, ETF man yan, and you're wondering, what should I do sa nangyayari ngayon? How can I understand more about the market? Anong gagawin ko? Okay, of course, all you have to do is to join our TGFI Live for today kasi kasama natin yung isa sa masasabi natin na veteran. Kilala to sa stock market world, even way back. Hindi naman siya ganun katanda. But ang kagandahan kasi ito, she had made enough research para maintindihan yung markets. Okay? And of course, ang maganda dyan, i-explain nyo sa inyo yan ngayong araw. Okay? So, we're ready to introduce our guest for today? Ready na tayo? Okay. So, again, our guest for today is also the co-founder of Bukaka. May sarili silang website. It's www.bukaka.com. Ayan. And of course, she's also the founder and the person behind Faceless Trader. Di ba? Dati kasi kung mahilig ka magbasa ng mga stock market blogs, yan. So, may sarili siyang blog. May sarili kang blog before, no? Yan, di ba? So, Faceless Trader, dati, ano pa siya, Tagupay Identity. Now, she's very open to help us and educate us, mga ka-TGFI. And of course, the rest of I also share this in the Faceless Traders thread. So, yan, yung iba pang mga Faceless Traders na nanonood ngayon, magandang araw sa inyo. You'll learn a lot from our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Miss Nikki Yu. Ayan, hello. Magandang gabi. Nikki, I know,
where do I?
yeah, well, just anywhere.
Sige.
Feel free. Okay. So, alam ko medyo nahihirapan tayo papunta dito. I know, very hard to ngayon, no, to travel in Metro Manila.
Okay.
But of course, we're happy that you have joined us. And we're happy that we're able to go on time naman. We're still on time. So, good thing is that yung mga ka-TGFI natin na naghihintay, they're now also online waiting for you and learn from you. Okay. Ayan, di ba? Nikki Yu will learn from you. Okay. So, Nikki, ayan, ano bang pinagkakaabalahan mo ngayon?
Right now, kailangan mo matuto ng asset allocation.
Wow,
Yun yung
okay.
pinaka-importante.
Okay.
So, every time you enter into the stock market, everyone knows na walang kasiguraduhan.
Okay.
Therefore, even if you think that you're buying something of value,
Okay.
maaari siyang within the next couple of days,
Yes.
pwede siyang bumagsak.
Yes.
So, if yung lahat ng pera mo nakasalalay lang sa stock market, yun yung isang bagay na matututunan mo in
So,
panic. If your money is not asset allocation friendly,
Yes.
dyan ka mamamatay.
Yan,
Pag naka-all-in ka sa stocks, tapos
So,
panic yung markets.
galing. Well, ito kasi, di ba napag-uusapan, asset allocation, diversification, are they almost the same?
Usually naman, when people define asset allocation, it doesn't have to be stocks or bonds.
Okay.
When you say asset allocation, saan ka kumikita ng pera? So let's say kumikita ka sa rental, that's one kind of asset allocation.
Okay.
Kumikita ka sa business, so fish farming is a business,
Yes.
that's one. So essentially, ang ibig sabihin lang naman ng asset allocation is meron kang separate pools of where you earn your money.
Yeah.
Ganun lang naman.
Okay. So, kumbaga, you'll expect pagka bumagsak yung market, it's okay because you've made your enough research and you've made your enough allocation. May aasahan ka from other sources.
So usually, think of yourself like a conglomerate.
Okay.
So if for instance, you are like Henry C, think of
Okay.
yourself like a future Henry C. If all of your money is dependent on SMDC condominiums, and then wala kang SM Prime malls, and wala kang supermarkets, medyo mas magkakaroon ka ng problem if nagkataon that there is a property crisis,
Okay.
or there is a demand, they said there's before a supply glut.
Okay.
So parang, yun, basically that's what diversification
Yeah.
really means. Just think of yourself as a conglomerate.
Yeah.
So far, like usually when you're still young, you don't think of like putting in several
Yeah.
baskets.
Okay.
Pero one thing you'd learn from experience is that when the market crashes, you'd be happy na, uy, buti na lang may tinabi akong
Yeah.
cash somewhere here. Hindi lang for yourself, it's also for your family in the
Okay.
future. Let's say meron ka talagang funds for marriage or funds for kids,
Yeah.
mga ganun.
Okay, ang galing, di ba? Parang sabi ni Nikki, dapat mag-feeling ka na parang Henry C ka, di ba? And if you feel like you're a billionaire, dapat alam mo kung saan mo ilalagay yung pera mo ng tama so that you'll expect something. Okay, at the end of the day, we all need to make cash, okay, from our investment. Kailangan natin kumita, no? So, kailangan yung tactics mo, yung strategy mo, ano pa rin, you made enough research, you made enough ways for you to how to allocate your funds rightfully. Kasi, halimbawa, yun nga, sabi niya, 100% equity ka, nag-stock market crash. Okay, di, wala kang pang pondo, wala kang pang ad. Yun na yung nagiging problema natin. Okay? Now, going back to our topic, Vicky, ang ating topic for today is lesson learned from the past stock market panics. Bakit nating naisip na yun ang dapat nating topic for today?
Usually kasi when people think of markets, naisip lang nila is up or down. Pero I guess what I wanted to specify is that there is such a thing called, market panics.
Ay, nako.
Sometimes a market panic is just like a short-term glitch. Let's say nagkaroon ng 2 days reaction recently.
Yeah.
When Trump won sa US, it fell down fast and then it recovered.
Oo nga, no?
However, in the
Tama.
Philippines, hindi na siya nag-recover.
Yeah.
You might want to ask why. Bakit nung nag-market panic sa US, hindi tayo sumabay sa pagtaas? Well, because a lot of people, if you notice, I was explaining this to people na notice that today the dollar peso is still 49.5.
Okay.
So, if you think of yourself as a foreigner, you're actually selling your dollars to buy Philippine pesos. So, in the last 2 weeks, let's say 3 weeks, 1 month, let's say you were buying Philippine stocks at 7.3, 7.4, and then the index crashed nga to about 6.8. So, nalugi ka, let's say 700 points, around 10%. Tapos, yung pesos nag-devalue from 47 to 49.
To 49.
We're saying that it's a double whammy. May currency devaluation kang impact na risk, and then may risk ka pa sa stock market. Therefore, we notice na every time nagkakaroon ng market panics, we have to check currency.
Okay.
If we want to know, to define na, kasi actually like in the US, sorry kung medyo magiging technical
Okay
tayo.
lang, yes.
In the US, one of the reasons then why the money fled to the US is because Trump is pro interest rate hikes.
Okay.
And he's pro fiscal spending. So you could see that in the US, when he won, the financials recovered and actually hindi nga recovered, it broke out 10% index. So imagine like Metro Bank, BDO,
Tama.
BPI, all going up 10% sabay-sabay within just a couple of days. And then we noticed nga that metals, so here in the Philippines, nadama ng some metal stocks yun. Nickel shares went up, Nickel Asia is still strong right now. And that's partly because there's a worldwide commodity rebound following Trump's win. So syempre, kung ikaw let's say, hindi mo ina-expect na Trump would win, hindi mo naman alam yung policy niya na very pro pala siya ng infrastructure. So like in the Philippines, you can also think of it this way. Di ba yung market bumagsak, umakyat, at ngayon nasa 7,000, notice nyo na since January till ngayon, ano yung mga matibay pa rin? One of the stocks na matibay is MPI, which is, alam natin, it was an infrastructure dependent play. Megawide is still strong at about 15. Or sabihin na natin, bumagsak siya, nasa 14, but still very strong. So I think what everyone needs to know is that in a market panic, I remember, I wanted to explain lang, there was a market panic in 2013. During that time, I can show you na Facebook was just $24, $25.
Okay.
Ngayon, flashback tayo, 2016. Hindi pala flashback, no? Future forward tayo. Flash forward tayo 2016. 3 years after, Facebook is trading at about $110, $120. Oh, it's I think $116 last time I checked. So what does that mean? Even in a market panic or even in crashes, there are stocks that are actually able to be resilient. Kaso lang, ito yung tinatawag natin na stock picking. You have to be very careful kasi right now, it's possible that the index from now until next year is still 7,000. And yet, some stocks will go up, some stocks will go down. And that's what we've seen this year actually. For 2016, a lot of casinos rebounded. Petron rebounded from the lows when oil went up from galing $26 to about, how much is it now? About $44, $45. So I think parang there is that scenario wherein everyone needs to recognize na market panics does not mean that everything falls.
Okay.
Contrary to the notion that everything falls, some stocks would actually stay strong.
So, market panic, iba pa to sa stock market crash.
We
Are
think
they the
it's
same?
probably the same.
Okay.
Market panic, market crash is the same. What usually people have to define now is, will the market panic turn into a structural bear market? I need to define that a market panic is a short-term glitch. But usually, kasi those short-term glitch could be related to earnings. So, okay, what is the big headwind in my mind right now? I mentioned a while ago the dollar peso. One reason that when Trump won, actually, there was a worldwide sell-off in emerging markets. So, emerging markets pertains to us, Philippines, tayo, mga ASEAN. When I talk about emerging markets, well, usually people think it's India, it's China, it's the BRICS before, no? Now it's, I think, the TIPS. TIPS is Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and Singapore. So, isama mo na rin yung mga Malaysia. So, basically, ASEAN, we had a sell-off last week around 4%. Mexico fell 13%. So, you could see that malakas yung impact ng world on one policy statement. Protectionist policy, mawawalan po ba ng immigrants, yung mga ganon.
Okay.
So, kung mahirapan tayo magkaroon ng OFWs na going abroad for work, it's possible na matamaan yung GDP natin. Maybe not now, but it might happen in the next 2 years.
Okay.
So, yung mga market panics, it is sometimes a sign too that we have to take a look na bakit kaya sila nagpapanik? Bakit sila nagsisell? Sometimes their selling is also correct.
Okay.
Hindi ibig sabihin na, ay, nagpanic selling siya dahil nanalo si Trump. Mali naman yun. Sometimes we have to define, maybe because Trump really can have a lot of negative policies based on his words to the Philippine markets. So, yung one of the risks that I really see right now is the cost of investing in the Philippines.
Okay.
Kasi given that interest rate hikes, given the rise in dollar, what would make them invest in the Philippines? Aside from the fact na valuations natin is cheap, growth is good. So, kumbaga, parang, kasi think of it their way, they're selling their dollars. Pwede naman sila mag-invest na lang sa US companies kaysa sa dito. So, yun lang, parang it's something na I'm really looking at as a sign na parang take a look at it.
Yeah.
It's very important kasi when we say na the Philippine peso is very strong, we need to really see it stay below 49, 48, or stay within a range.
Okay.
Kung magdire-diretso kasi yan, 50, 51, 52, syempre, kahit na sabihin mo 7,000, 7,500, pag natalo kang 10% sa currency devaluation, parang wala rin effect sa kanila yun.
Oh, so
Sorry kung sobrang haba ako mag-explain.
it's okay. Pero ang pinaka maganda kasi na sinabi mo, no? So there's an effect for the currency. There's an effect on whatever's happening sa international markets, and then people can also maybe speculate ano yung nagiging cause, bakit ganun.
For instance, pag-usapan natin, di ba, Philippines has a pivot to China, and I
Okay.
think it's something that's important to be discussed. In
Mhm,
the
yeah.
next 4 years, hindi lang naman yung US yung kailangan maging partner ng Philippines, right? I mean, I'm not saying na we're against the US. We're actually trying to be friends with everyone, and it's a good thing that the admin is trying to work hard upon. So, what if the China industries na nag-invest in the Philippines, the infrastructure plays, really actually help Filipinos? Like kanina, traffic was so bad.
Yeah.
But what if they can see that infrastructure spending is doing well? Those are catalysts na aside from the GDP of 7.1, it can really hit 8%, even 8 point something, diba? So those things are something na we call it an earnings surprise. So usually, if it's a positive surprise, especially if they never thought, like I'm not sure if anyone actually said na index would recover even if it's below 7,000 because GDP actually surprised on the upside. So there will be those positive news. Maybe infrastructure catalyst for next year is a possibility. Or maybe the Chinese tourists. Let's talk about the casinos. They're very strong
yes,
recently. Their earnings have rebounded. If, for instance, there is really a strong reason for the Chinese tourists to come in the Philippines, whether they be, they're here for just the gambling or they're here for the tourism, it would actually boost your consumer industries. And it's something na we have to look at. Hindi lang, it's very hard to predict though. So we'll have to see this quarter on quarter, what's happening in the tourism data. So I'm actually a bit bullish as well when it comes to, you mentioned a while ago na agriculture is being a strong policy right now of the Duterte admin. It's something na, although in the Philippines there's very few agriculture stocks, I think more transparency and then more ability to showcase that, if the agriculture sector is really improving, what if a lot of Filipinos actually invest in that sector? As you guys were mentioning, entrepreneurs can do so. So I don't even advocate stocks at all. Like, it could be that they could plow in their money, they can learn about the fish farming industries, and probably really get to benefit from the booming industry sector that the government is also willing to push. Kasi I'm actually a believer na, as I said, you have to open yourself to a mindset na, stocks, you make some. If you can't make some, kasi syempre it's an uncertain environment, at least meron kang kinikita somewhere else para habang mura, kasi right now it's 7,000, we don't know if it's gonna be mas mura. Pag nag-dollar spike, another possibility of a possibility of a downturn, or suddenly infrastructure na delay pala. What if the PPP that everyone, 'di ba sinabi before nila sa Aquino administration, it was a PowerPoint presentation lang naman. What if all this possible infrastructure spending gets delayed? So of course that's gonna be negative then. I'm just trying to say na Philippines, we're trying to be open to so many countries. Sweden, they're very happy to invest here. We've got some IPOs like Shakey's coming. So I like the fact that the Philippine market today is actually open to so many business opportunities, whether it be the US, China, and Sweden, and so forth. There's so many, Japan. But yun nga, let's keep it open. Kasi if you're so negative, all I'm saying is, you cannot be negative, but you cannot also be too positive. Kasi if you're too positive, tapos bigla kang na-disappoint, you will never have enough parang ability to recover. So, paunti-unti, right now actually, I'm quite bullish na a lot of stocks are a bit low, and yet, syempre, tansya-tansya lang din kasi 6,800, 7,000. Kung umakyat man yan, dadalhit lang tayo pataas niyan kung talagang GDP really surprises na todo-todo na yan for the next couple of years.
Well, Nikki, na pag-usapan natin yung some of the issues, no? If we'll go back lang, no? So, ano yung naging cause ng past market crash? Yeah.
Sorry kung marami akong ikot-ikot . All of the other crashes always had a reason. So 2008, it was the global subprime crisis. So it first was
2008.
Marami. We can discuss. Noong 2008, it was first a panic. The panic became an ultimate bear market. So a panic leads to a crash and into a bear. The panic was first it was first revealed around, actually if you notice, it was 2005. Nag-start na yon. 2007, umakyat pa yung market noon. Pero nag-bubble na siya kasi yun nga, there were people being given loans, ngunit hindi nakakabayad. So, once they started to default, paisa-isa nang nagde-default, ayun na, doon na nag-crash. So, the panic is actually a very good indicator to say na magka-crash po ba tayo. Sometimes the panic is just knee-jerk, but sometimes the panic is also a sign, a warning sign, similar to 2013. Remember the May 2013, the taper talks, interest rates were going to hike. During that time, I remember index was about 7,400, and then it was crashing down all the way to 5, 6, 7, 8. Nagkaroon ng Yolanda pa. So there are some risks na hindi mo rin talaga who would have known na magkakaroon din ng Yolanda na impact during that 2013, latter part of 2013. So basically, pero ang nangyari doon was, it was a market panic. Nagkataon na the interest rate hike was something na people thought was so bad,
Mhm.
but after some time, 2014, 2015, naka-recover naman. Actually, 2015, we rallied as high as about 8-1.
Yes.
So that means that there are panics now on interest rate hike concerns that can be, it can be fixed over time. Unlike yung 2008 crash na talagang it had to be global intervention. It was a worldwide intervention. Other panics that we had in recent memory was 2011. If you remember the Portugal PIIGS, pigs crisis, it started as well with a small panic and then it became an outright crash to the Europe, forcing Europe to bail out countries like that happened 2011. Kailan nila binail out? They bailed them out 2015
Okay.
last year. So, yun. So, what I'm saying is the panic and then talagang the market wants it to be fixed.
Okay.
So, there is this problem of actually last year the market panicked on the telephone industry actually,
Yeah,
di ba? And then that panic really was true kasi notice from 3,000 plus yung PLDT,
Yes.
now it's about 1,300
300.
plus. So, sometimes what I'm saying is, when there is a panic or an earnings problem, it doesn't mean na bili ka. Find out if the panic is actually gonna turn into a real crash and a secular na bago ma-fix yan, may earnings dapat na aayusin. So, I guess parang my understanding or my experience is that panic is a prelude, pero there are panics na ma-fix. One thing na na-fix immediately, one thing that I can recall, remember when Pure Gold just 2 quarters, they had a very bad quarter in 2014? They were in an overexpansion binge, and then for some quarters they had a negative result. Pero the market completely priced in that negativity when in fact it was a temporary earnings dip.
Okay.
So the people who were, you could call them value investors or you can call them smart traders or investors who knew na, hey, you guys are panicking, but this is not it's not a permanent problem. It's just, 1 quarter is a problem, 2 quarters is a problem, but this isn't gonna happen forever.
Yeah.
So mga ganon. Casinos, as you could see, was it a permanent problem? No. Actually, it was a cyclical problem. You had the Chinese, you had that Chinese crackdown last year, 2015. China was so adamant na Chinese tourists cannot come. And then, of course, there's that overall competition. I know this might sound very parang, ayoko na mag-stocks, ang dami palang kailangang malaman, ang
Yes.
dami palang kailangang intindihin. Actually, you can simplify it naman. Tingnan mo lang kung the earnings was mababasa mo naman sasabihin nila PLDT earnings drop because of industry-wide ganyan. Parang makikita mo na Jollibee recently had a earnings dip, then they're saying it's a temporary thing. Well, of course, sometimes a temporary thing could it be a lack of ability to fight the competition. Sometimes ganun kasi what happened last year was akala ng tao was that PLDT and Globe, that it was just Globe eating the market share of PLDT. It was not an industry problem. So PLDT fell, Globe went up. Parang nagkaroon na ng kainan, market share problem. Now it's being shown na it's an industry problem.
Yeah.
Hindi lang pala si PLDT, kaya pati si Globe tinatamaan na siya ngayon.
Okay. So, kayo na mga naka-invest ngayon sa PLDT, you might want to know more what's happening inside sa kanilang portfolio. Pero, nagtataka lang ako kasi most of the funds sa Philippines, well, of course, the top funds, they have PLDT under their... you working inside, as a broker, ano yung strategy nila for things like this?
I think at the end of the day, people will still overprice a certain kumbaga there is such a thing as in-overshoot mo naman din. Parang at some point in time, if I'm supposed to be getting about 6.5% dividend yield in this company at a certain price, they'll find a bottom. But then again, syempre, when you have like that downtrend persisting na talagang may negative impact yung industry, you'll notice that making money in these industries are hard.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that you won't get an opportunity. Parang yun yung tinatawag na you have to be picky.
Okay.
Pick the spots, and then yun lang. Usually it's a trade on bounce thing.
Okay.
Parang, uy, good quarter naman pala. It's not as bad as everyone thought.
Okay.
Mangyayari doon is similar to what happened to the casinos. Notice that the casinos rebounded very wild. This year, Melco went from 1 to 4, and yet negative yung income, right? From negative 5B, it narrowed the loss to about negative 1B. So, basically, if you put the bar so low, kumbaga ginawa na ng market is F na sila. F
Okay.
yung earnings nila. So, from F, kung naging B student siya, aakyat na yung stock.
Okay.
Kumbaga parang it's just kung nilagay mo, let's say na lang, Philippines. If everyone thinks that the Philippines is gonna be, sabi ng iba, tapon mo yung Philippines kasi nga, syempre marami tayong problems. I mean, iba-iba kasi pananaw.
Yeah.
Political noise, external problems, wag na tayo mag-invest sa Philippines. And then, so sobrang bearish ka na. And then lumabas yung ganyang report na 7% GDP pala. Or lumabas yung earnings, lumabas pala yung mga infra spending. So, alam mo yun, parang when you get too bearish in an oversold market, magkakaroon ka ng whipsaws. Definitely, there will be trading bounces. So, yun lang. I think kasi normal talaga that people would panic. Imagine mo like 2,000 bucks yung Globe, maybe just 2 months ago. Now it's about 1,350. That's just 2 months.
Yeah.
That decline is more than 1/3. So, hindi naman yan sinasabi na mabilis yan marirecover nila Ernest Hu. Mutual funds will of course do their best to learn and situate the portfolio in a, kung talagang mas mabagal yung growth netong industry, they're probably gonna overweight some other sectors na they can see potential to grow. Hindi nila pwede yun iwanan, partly because I think they have an index data.
Okay.
I'm not so sure. Some funds, maybe they don't need to have index names. Pero partly din kasi there is liquidity.
Okay.
At the end of the day, hindi rin naman ako, no matter if I don't like, let's say, aminin ko man or hindi, I still use my cell phone. Diba? So, parang you use your PLDT Smart or you use your Globe. I use Globe. So, parang hindi rin naman natin pwedeng totally sabihin na, sige, bukas ayoko nang mag-cellphone, hindi na ako gamit ng
May
data
services
plans.
pa rin. Okay.
So, it's not gonna be a bankrupt. Definitely not. So, they have a hard time, but hard times doesn't mean zero.
Okay.
Minsan kasi sobrang
Maybe because sobrang ganda rin ng naging performance for the past months because people are using phone calls, texts. And then right now, we're going to another era, internet era na tayo, data era
they're
na
trying
tayo.
to shift to the digital. They've been saying that they're shifting to their services. Hindi ako talaga, actually, I'm not so well versed with the telco industry. So actually, nahihiyaran ako to say na, parang I know what I'm talking about. But definitely, what you want to do is read up on what they're doing to transfer their losses on syempre their losses on the fixed line, on the SMS. Of course, they're transferring that to data plans, subscription services. You're using Viber, you're using WhatsApp. So, more and more, parang if they are able to convert from SMS to data, then they're able to save their business model.
Well, speaking of which, we're talking about telco. Abangan nyo later on. Well, it will happen maybe sometime this year, no? So, TGFI will launch a partnership with one of the telcos in the Philippines. Dalawa lang naman yan. Abangan nyo, it will be offered to our OFWs all around the world. Hintayin nyo lang. It will be out soon. But of course, balik tayo sa topic. I'll just jump, no, Nikki. We're talking about panics, no? So, with regards to what's happening in the US market, no? Interest rates, sabi nila, Feds are saying na
mataas yung chance. Almost 96% probability nga that there's a rate hike.
Yes. Okay. What's happening ngayon, no? What can you say about the effect for the US markets and also sa Philippine market? Ano yung pwedeng, ano ba? It's kasi sabi mo, kailangan tingnan natin din yung mga tao nagpapanik na eh. Okay? So, are this type of situation sign na yan na kailangan medyo bawasan ko ng konti yung equity exposure ko?
Well, the first knee-jerk reaction was really from a worldwide standpoint. What happened when Trump won was definitely sell the Philippines according to weighting. Let's say if EM basket had 5% weighting on the Philippines, they just sold it. That's why you saw an indiscriminate sell-off. When I say an indiscriminate sell-off, they will just sell everything. You've noticed Ayala Land got sold down, Ayala Corp got sold down recently, even if, earnings wasn't so bad. Bakit naman tinapon from 36 to 31 in just a 3-day span? So that is what I call an EEM sell-off, an emerging market sell-off, wherein as long as nandun ka sa basket trade na yon, tatapunan ka. Now, there is such a point na iniisip ko rin na, so bakit nila ginawa yon? It's because all of these funds abroad thought na, since I'm gonna raise interest rates next year, it would be more beneficial to me to get the dollar. Of course, ang gagawin ng Philippines para hindi magkaroon ng sobrang massive outflow from the Philippine pesos is to increase interest rate as well of the Philippine market. So kung mag-up ng 25 basis points US, sasabay din si Pinas ng 25 basis points. Or at least, di ba, we'll just, parang hindi tayo masyadong magiging overly, parang, kasi mangyari sa investors is, doon na ako sa mas mataas na interest rate, di ba? Masyado rin naman nagiging reaction ng market is, since the interest rates are gonna go up, you'll notice na actually in the US, bumagsak yung bonds. When you say the treasury bonds, we noticed that there was a huge increase in the yield. Umakyat ng about 2% yung 10-year treasury to 2.5% yield. What does that mean? Tumataas ang pag magbabayad ka ng interest mo, humihingi ng mas mataas na interest expense. Definitely, sinong kumita doon? Kaya nga financials blow off last time Trump won eh. Kasi within a week, umakyat ng 10%. Can you imagine that? It's because tumataas ang interest expense. Sinong kikita dyan? Financial banks abroad. So that's the reason why lahat ng mga global thinkers, in that one day na nag-knee-jerk nanalo si Trump, naglipatan sila sa US. Now, what would happen? I think the easy money is also over. Kumbaga parang, if the S&P is trading at what? 2,021.85 na sila. Tapos binenta naman nila yung Pilipinas ng todo-todo dahil sa sobrang long dollar trade sila. Ano nga sorry, how do I say this? Yung first question mo was...
Well, paano siya is it time na for us to panic sa US? They have lots of issues. Trump just when he's the president.
I think we cannot discount the fact that there will always be that emerging market overhang. Na at the end of it all, kasi nga, we are still dependent on the US. Kahit anong sabihin natin, we're still depending on them. So if the dollars that they have is better off parking in equities ng US, parking in they won't park it in bonds kasi nga tumataas yung yield eh. Tumataas yung yield, that means treasuries bonds are falling in the US. So what they'll do is, basta ang gagawin nila dyan is they'll park it in US dollar. Therefore, yung pesos mo nakakawawa. They keep on selling the pesos until such time na, you know what, sobrang devalued na yung peso or sumobrang crowded trade na rin na lahat kayo nag-long dollar. At that point in time, magkakaroon ka ng inflection point. Parang at what point in time ba that they will wake up and think, you know what, Philippines is 7% GDP, and next year it's probably going to grow 7.5%, whereas the US is going to grow what, 2%? 1%? So end of the day, they have to weigh out na if the dollar-peso exchange rate is already at 49.5, ngayon, 49.5 na. Let's say next week, mag-50 pa yan. If they only see that the peso is just going to hit 50 for the entire year, for next 2017, they might want to invest now. Kasi, if they have dollar, sisell nila yung dollar nila ngayon at 50 pesos, let's say, sabihin na natin these foreign funds, millions yan eh. Let's say they have $10 million. 50 yung conversion. Wow, ang ganda. 500 million pesos. And mabibili nila ang Philippine stock market at let's say a valuation of 6.8 PSEI na lang. So I think there is that contrarian play na somehow EEM, emerging market, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, if we all print good growth, mababalanse. The world is not gonna go all US. It's not gonna go all out of Asia. Plus the fact that, as you said, middle class is rising. Parang at the end of the day, you want to buy growth. And Philippines, at some point, they would say to themselves then, you know what? Instead of me parking it in dollars, I might as well sell the dollars now. At $50, do I see it depreciating at 51, 52? Probably not. So, sige, lipat mo na ang peso.
Okay.
Para rin sa'yo OFWs yun. Like, if the OFWs today have a lot of dollars, nakita nila the Philippine market is trading at about 6,900, 7,000. They might wish to park some of their cash in kahit magbili na lang sila ng index fund. Just the ETF, like bibilin mo lang 6.9 PSEI.
Okay.
Diba? They can do that. So mag-mutual fund sila. If they think that 6.9, kung mali ako, siguro naman next year 6.9 pa rin or 7,000 pa din. Hindi naman siguro siya matatalo on the currency devaluation aspect.
Okay, so of course nagkaroon na kayo ng mga ideas, no? When to invest, sabi ni Kids now. Because narinig nyo naman yung mga explanations niya. Okay, pero ito naman, I have a question. Let's say I'm a newbie and I don't understand all of the things about ano ba yung nangyayari na interest rate, ano yung market crash. Okay, what should I do? First things na dapat kong matutunan muna, going to the market or going to the stock market or exchange traded funds. Ano yung pinakauna ko ba dapat gawin? Magbasa ba dapat? Manood ba dapat ako ng CNN? Or
Actually, one thing I think important is do you know yourself? Meaning, what is your trading personality talaga? What is your time frame? It's always, we go back to the basics. If gusto mo na bumili ka today, tapos tomorrow or next week, ibebenta mo na. Definitely, you just have to have a certain type of, eto po yung stop loss ko, whether nanalo or natalo, tatapon ko dito. So, it's always like, diba, you always hear people, newbie or even, hindi nga newbie actually it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Sabihin mo lang kung hanggang saan ka willing na, pag nangyari na to, kahit ano pang mangyari, itatapon ko. Let's say, bibilin ko ang 6.9, tapos kahit mag 6,000 to, hawakan ko lang, index. So, you have to tell yourself saan ka bibitaw. Pag nag-break yung 6,000, bibitawan ko na talaga to. Diba? Or maybe some people think na 6,900, 7,000, mura na to. Pero kung nag-6,500 to, mali ako. So, cut na lang ako. Kung ano man yung positions ko, siguro meron talagang isang pangyayari ng time na yun na hindi mo rin na-price in. And even if umakyat man tayo, let's say you're bullish man, you have to just read, ano ba nangyari? Kasi nga, I'm pretty sure that's what happened with some people thinking na blue chip naman tong hawak kong PLDT, blue chip naman tong Globe, bakit naman ako matatalo 50%? Well, hihintayin mo pa ba na matalo kang 50% bago sabihin mo sa sarili mo na talo na ako? Or do you allow yourself, sige, pag natalo kang 20%, whatever this stock is, tapon mo na lang. Or is it a 10% cut loss? I think naman you have to just really parang give yourself, newbie man or whatever, just tell yourself at what point in time do I say I bail out na ako. Parang business din. Siyempre, you enter a business, you give yourself some time. You want to learn. Hindi naman pwede na pagpasok mo pa lang sa business is, tingin mo within that month, kikita ka na. So, siyempre, titingnan mo rin na, pumasok ako sa business na to, ina-expect ko na ito yung risk ko. Pero kung yung risk na to, hindi naman nag-materialize, kunwari, let's say, willing ako to open na, sabihin na lang natin, I'm opening a dorm business, nagpapaupa ako sa mga tao, and I'm expecting within 6 months, mapupuno ko tong rental business ko na about 50% occupied. Pero kung hindi ko nahihit yung 50% occupancy man lang, that's the time na sasabihin ko na may mali na akong ginagawa. I need to cut my positions. I need to probably choose a different location or siguro bago pa mag-finish yung mga contracts nyo, tinitingnan mo rin, saan kaya ako nagkamali? Anong kailangan kong ayusin sa business model ko?
Yeah.
So, if your business model is stocks, ano kaya ang kailangan kong gawin para ma-fix to? So, yun. Like, treat the stock market as a business.
Okay.
Tell yourself, ito yung tolerance na actually, pag natalo akong 15%, tapon ko na talaga eh. Kahit nasabihin pa nila sa akin na may kwenta tong kumpanyang to, minsan kasi, malas ko, binili kong mataas pala, mga ganyan.
So, have a trading plan lang mo. So, once you go into a stock or whatever investment, dapat alam mo when to exit.
Mas importante yung exit plan.
Yeah.
Kasi madali lang na maghawak ka kasi panalo ka. Pero kung natatalo ka, doon yung mas problem.
Okay.
Kasi hindi ka na makakatulog. Especially if lahat nga ng pera mo is nasa stocks.
Okay.
Doon hindi ka na makakatulog.
Alright. So, di ba mga ka-TGFI? Alam ko kayo ay medyo narami na naman kayo natutunan for today. But of course, kailangan nating basahin ang inyong mga katanungan. So, mag-hello lang ako sa lahat ng mga online. Ayan, si Glad Sidenyo, she said, may bago ako na-impluensya na sa stocks. Wow, congrats, no? Bagong pasa lang sa board exam. Okay, interested in investing. David Rinchel de Rio Moronia, congratulations. Kasama ka na sa, ano na mga tayo, 720,000 accounts na yata for the Philippine Stock Exchange. Okay? Maganda to. Bata pa lang natututo na. Congrats to you, no? Okay. Danny Salunga, Saudi Arabia, watching. Congrats. Danny for watching. Thank you for watching. Watching sa Singapore, si Miss Alma San Luisa. Hello. Okay, eto na. Tumapasok na yung mga tanong nyo. Guys, again, if you have questions, please key in your questions now. We have few minutes left. Pwede nyo pang tanungin. Sige, babasahin ko muna yung mga nag-hello before I read all of your questions. Okay. Buti na lang nakahabol si Romel. Okay, Ma'am Nikki, hello po. Okay, watching from Korea. Hello daw kay, sabi ni Romel, Biag. Okay. Jasmine, sayang, ganda pa naman ang topic. Kailangan nyo umalis lang muna. Mamaya, panoorin mo na lang yung replay. Okay? So, watching from Riyadh, si Jerry. Okay, hi, Nikki and Floyd from Mark Arucan. Hello? Hello? Okay, ito na. So, questions are in. Let's start your questions. Okay. So, Miss Nikki, would it be helpful to keep my investment long-term if there's a threat of market panic? Kay Nami Shan Moster.
Ganito siya eh. In hindsight, madaling sabihin na bibili ako ng mura. Pero once you're in a panic, ang hirap-hirap gawin. So, one reason why I advise people to study history of market panics and crashes is because during the 2008 crisis, lahat ng mababasa mong news, negative. 2011, pag tiningnan mo yung Europe, kahit tayo, Pilipinas, hindi naman tayo dapat affected sa Europe, tinatamaan din tayo. So, what I'm saying is, pag tiningnan mo sa headlines, lahat negative, natatakot ka. So, nai-influensyahan ng media yung sentiment mo to invest. Sa totoo lang, hindi ka dapat matakot to buy.
Okay.
Lalo na kung kunwari na lang, sinasabi natin, binibili mo SM.
Yeah.
Binibili mo something na matatag. na
Magkakaroon
index
sila
name.
ng bagong mall in China.
Yes, they're investing there. I'm not promoting SM.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, once you have determined for yourself na bibilhin ko tong SM at certain tranches, at certain months, at certain prices, as long as you have a trading plan, hindi ka dapat mag-change ng plan mo because you have a new administration, because si Trump na yung panalo, because let's say the administration of the Philippines, hindi mo rin gusto si Duterte. Let's assume na ang dami mong hindi gusto sa mundo. Kailan ka pa mag-i-invest? Kasi hindi naman ibig sabihin na porket bumabagsak ang market, lahat bababa. As I was saying, 2013, nagkaroon naman ng market crash. Pero 2013, na-born din yung Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, di ba? And it was trading at the IPO was 42, it fell all the way to 20 plus. And then, once na-prove na nila na kumikita naman yung earnings nila, hindi lang sila website dyan na pinagsusocial lang, then people realize na, oh nga, okay to. Let's assume, yun nga eh, actually, I wouldn't have 2013 to 2016, sabihin na lang natin, ang galing mo. Bumili ka lang ng bumili nung time na yun ng Double Dragon. My golly, Diba?
Yeah.
I would never have estimated that 2 pesos would hit an 80 pesos price high this year. That's like, you cannot, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you can never determine na kahit magkaroon ng market panic na hindi na lang ako magsa-stock market. Kasi sa totoo lang, there are crashes and yet there are what we so-called outliers, so-called leaders, na tipong hindi sila tinatablan. So, kung meron kang mga hindi tinatablan, like yun nga, we're saying, Bloom is 3 pesos, 3.50 this year. How much is it? At about 5, umakyat ng 6.5. So, can you tell me na the Trump effect or Duterte had something to do with that? Minsan, actually, I wouldn't discount the fact that sometimes a leader can continue to go up because nadurog na eh. In fairness, galing saan ba yan? Last year was trading 2015, it traded about 15 pesos, diba? So, hindi ako nagpro-promote. Ang sinasabi ko lang is that hindi dapat matanggal yung plan mo to invest in the market.
Okay.
What you just need to do is malaman mo kung ano yung i-investan mo. Ano ba tong leaders na to? So, yun lang ang bibilin ko. Leaders na lang.
Okay. Yan. So, di ba? Yung mga ka-TGFI natin, na mga may katanungan, medyo biglang dumami yung mga tanong, no? Pero mamimili na lang ako.
Sige,
Okay, sige. Ito, I have another question. Ito kasi parang medyo interesting yung question. Yan. Well, paano mo malalaman kung undervalued daw or overvalued ang isang stock? Newbie siya. Yanawing Simpat.
Actually kasi, yung undervalued and overvalued, lagi kong sinasabi na kung Philippine stocks, mas mabilis tingnan is yung earnings trend niya per quarter. So, paminsan, magtataka ka, index name naman siya, pero hindi siya pinapansin. Kailan siya papansinin? Papansinin yan kapag dumire-diretso na yung quarterly reports and lumalabas talaga na positive lang lahat. Minsan, kung positive 20%, hindi yan napansin. It could be because the market already expected nakikita yan ng 20%. Parang sabihin na lang natin, kumita naman si Jollibee, kumita naman siya ng 9% this year. Bakit siya binenta ang 10% within a day? It was because nobody expected them to actually lose 6% for that third quarter.
Okay.
So sometimes, parang ang akala mo na okay naman yung income niya, bakit nila sinabi undervalued, overvalued? You also have to assume some stocks in the Philippines, hindi dahil 10 times PE buy, hindi dahil 30 times PE sell. Kasi may mga tinatawag tayo na premium warrants talaga. Parang premiumly warranted stock. Parang price for perfection kasi lagi. Ganito na lang, may favorite fan base talaga yung Jollibee ever since. Pag nakita mo yan na nag-trade ng 20 times PE, magugulat ka na kasi sobrang mura na yun. Feeling ko, titingnan mo lang yung PE bands over time. Kung nakita mo that Jollibee trades in a bear market or in a market crash, 20 times multiple, in a good market, 40 times multiple, yun yung gagamitin mong basehan, 20 times to 40 times.
Okay.
But only for Jollibee. But if you're looking at about, let's say, kunwari na lang, sinasabi nila, bakit yung Ayala Land, 30-40 times PE, pero yung Mega World, lagi na lang, 10 times PE below. It's because, even at this point in time, malayo pa rin yung ina-assign ng market with Ayala Land because they're able to convert all of their projects into a very high premium valuation. Kumbaga, bibili yan ng 5,000 pesos per square meter, mabibenta niya ng 150,000 per, just an example, like sa Santa Ana, yung binili niya PRC Leasing sa Circuit City, right? They're selling it for about 60,000 per SQM. Mga ganon. Kumbaga parang tinitingnan din ng tao yung kalidad ng projects. So, mahirap to say undervalued and overvalued because the value is actually beholden from the market's perspective.
Okay.
Yung market natin, subjective yan eh. Hindi yung market natin nakatingin sa isang Excel sheet na, half price book value to, bibilin ko to. Kasi yung 0.5 times book value, pwedeng maging 0.3 times book value. At yung tanong mo na, kailan kaya yung 0.3 times book value magiging 1 times book value? Sometimes sentiment din yan. Sometimes kahit na sobrang good income na nga ng stocks, di siya napapansin. Although, I would say na, if you're doing value in investing, nagva-valuation ka on index names, meron yan talagang mga analysts, mababasa mo yung mga analysts, mga research nila. They can help you out. Sasabihin nila, you know what, at the end of the day, this company is worth this much. So, evaluate mo yung margin of safety mo na lang. Na, let's say, sabihin nila, company A is worth 40 pesos and yet it's trading at about 30. So, at least alam mo na meron akong 30% upside. Parang ganyan. Tingnan mo na lang. Pero minsan, yung 40 pesos nila, pag tinamaan ka ng earnings, yun nga, mga interest rate problems, maaaring magiging research nila. Sorry
It's okay.
Haba ako mag-answer. Hindi ako ma-short.
Kasi meron tayong timer dito, sabi niya, malapit na raw mag-times up. Okay, sige. Okay, so let's see some of the questions pa. May nakita ko dito na, where is that? Well, sabi ni Steph, I thought the episode is about FA versus TA. Well, we'll try to schedule that another day kasi problem natin.
Siguro sasagutin ko na lang yung, will it be helpful to keep my investment long?
Ayan.
If there's a threat of market panic.
Okay.
Actually, yes. In fact, if you study talaga all the past market panics, the best time to buy talaga would be during panic stages. Kasi I'm not saying na hindi tayo bababa. Maybe you buy it at 34 or let's say bumili ka ng stock 34, then the next week nakita mo nag 31. So nagpapanik ka rin mismo na parang wow, within a week natalo ka agad ako ng 10%, right? That just happened in Ayala Land recently. And then but does that mean na hindi na ako mag-invest kasi nagma-market panic na? Probably what you want to do is set your allocation na lang. If your allocation for this is 100,000 pesos, stick to it. And then next year, kung may 100,000 pesos ka, bilhin mo pa din. Kasi sometimes, yung market panic, ba't ka matatakot when the valuations are very low then? Yes, it can go lower. Nobody can predict. I mean, nagkaroon ng interest rate hike, whatever, pwedeng mag-react yung market. Pwede mo rin sabihin, ay, priced in na paling interest rate hike because ever since naman, pinag-uusapan na yung interest rate hike. I mean, 96% chance of an interest rate hike this December. So, ako, if people still don't understand na mag-rate hike tayo this December, that's kind of weird. Alam na yun ng market, right? So, basta don't change your plan. Kung long-term ka, stick to it. Because what you'll realize is that although it might take a year, although it might take 2 years, that would yield money for you. Yun lang. Kasi actually, sobrang hard din to do. Like, kunwari, I remember SM was trading at 700 pesos. Pre-stock split pa yun. But now, at 660, ita times mo yun ng 1.5, that's 990. 700, 990, that's about 300 pesos. That's a 50% move within the last 3 years. And you're buying SM. Sabihin na lang natin SM Prime. SM Prime was just 20 pesos this year. What if natakot ka, change mo yung plan mo na ayoko na kasi nagma-market panic, hindi ako bibili ng SM Prime. Well, lo and behold, it's still 27.6 even in the market panic stage. So, if you tried to, if you told yourself, ayoko nang mag-invest kasi may market panic, you're actually wrong. Kasi that market panic would actually bring you a lot of opportunities. And those opportunities will be yielding money in the next 1 year or 2 years. Mas madali nga actually for you to buy now. Kasi right now, you have less risk na yung binibili mo is mahal. Kasi nga, nagpapanik mga tao, they're selling it off at any price they want. Dahil syempre, hindi na sila makatulog. Kasi syempre, kung bumili silang 8,000 or bumili silang 7,700, 7,800, ngayon naging 6,800 na lang. Sabihin na lang natin, just last week, bumili ka. Tapos ngayon, bumagsak na ng 6,800, nagpapanik ka na eh. Diba? So, yun.
Okay.
Emotions na rin yung nangyayari.
So, you have to also control your emotions. Well, at the end of the day, research ka pa rin. Ang ano kasi nito, akala ng iba, stock market is too complicated. Well, at times, hindi ba, ano rin may kasama rin common sense, no? For example, you know what's happening in the telco industry, alam naman natin na there's somehow a shortage ng calls, ng SMS, not shortage, but more of hindi na masyado gumagamit yung tao ng ganong services. So, yung internet, you have to check gaano ba kaganda yung internet services dito sa Philippines. Ngayon, are people there, are we willing to pay for certain service about the internet na ino-offer ng telco natin? Kung hindi, medyo mag-isip ka, okay? So, now, sige. So, sabi nung ating overtime, binibilis ako na ngayong salita.
Sorry.
Okay. But of course, sige. We'll entertain siguro last two more questions. Two more questions para masulit naman yung ating mga katanungan. Okay.
Siguro yung yes, no na lang para wala
Sige.
na problem.
Aha. Ito, I'll let you choose. Kasi last two na lang
Okay.
Ayan. So, hello sa mga ka-TGFI na nanonood. Yan, kay Francis Lopez na
Surpass,
online.
sobrang overpriced and overvalued pa din at current price. Ano daw fair value ni Surpass?
Ayan.
Hard,
This
this is a hard question. Kasi Surpass is a tech stock. People are pricing in these numbers on revenue growth. So notice that when revenues jump 350%, net income is about 10%. Kasi talaga, if you notice, for eons of time, Amazon was trading at 100 times multiple, and yet Amazon, conquered all of those analysts, and they really showed na wala kaming pake sa earnings kasi our revenues have been growing. Do you know na Amazon only had a profit maybe last year?
Yeah.
Yung first profit nila. Kasi every profit they make is spent on acquisitions. And this company, Surpass, it's either you want it long term, kailangan mo makita yung vision nila. Kasi, as I said, they're on an acquisition binge. Kaya for them, if they're growing their revenues ng whopping 100%, 300% moves, for them, it's a good thing. Kasi yun yung overall goal nila . So, it really depends kung naiintindihan mo kung ano yung gustong gawin ng mga owners.
Okay.
Parang kasi the owners here are all bent on bibilin ko tong acquisitions, 5 yan, bumili siyang Yondu, which is a China platform for retail.
Okay.
Bumili siya ng search engine quickly, bumili siya ng Part of the Click, which is a mobile advertising platform. Bumili siya ng Storm, which is an HR benefits platform wherein those who are buying, instead of, kung ikaw, let's say, you're a BPO, makikita mo yung growth na sa HR. Sabihin na natin yung Storm yung Storm benefits na binili ni Surpass, ang nangyari doon is, if you're sabihin natin ikaw yung HR head ng Accenture, no? All the Accenture employees, instead of them being given 5,000 pesos, they're given 5,000 digital currency, which they can buy from Storm. So parang yung Storm, imbis na parang naging digital website, nakakabili ka ng mga cellphone. So naging retail store siya.
Yeah, okay.
So ako, the way I see it, technology is something na very hit or miss.
Okay.
Parang, can you imagine just recently, I think a Filipino, a 29-year-old, got very good ratings worldwide on his game, yung may Tusok Fishball.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that guy. He had the Flippy Bottle Extreme. So
The co-founder of Snapchat, Filipino.
Yes, yun. So I think honestly, if you ask me, I'm actually bullish technology. In defense on Surpass, it's overvalued only when you determine earnings. Like, syempre, hindi mo pa makita yung forward income . Forward income is actually a guess. Pag biglang nag 300% up yung income, how could you say that it's overvalued?
Yeah.
Kasi nga, you're growing your revenues, right? And then, you can see that it's like kumbaga parang, if you think about chess, parang si Duterte, hindi mo rin alam . Like, he's doing all of these strategy maps, tapos, naging against siya sa China, against US, naging pro-China, tapos ngayon, we're trying to, whether he did it by accident, or he did it as a strategy move, you don't really know. Of course, the supporters would say it was a strategy move. Some people said, nagkataon lang. Whatever it is, it's a strategy game for Surpass to be buying. So, the way I see it, hindi yan pwedeng overvalued, undervalued . Kasi, parang sabihin na lang natin, double dragon . Pag inisip mo yung overvalued, undervalued, hindi mo kaya siyang bilhin at all. Kasi, magkano lang ang income ng Double Dragon? And yet, they're in an expansion stage and then they keep on getting a lot of preferred shares so they're able to expand further. So, ako, the way I see it, it's also market confidence at the end of the day. If the people behind the technology platform is something that people trust, bakit si Amazon, even if negative yan, ang dami niyang subscriber growth, ang dami niyang base. Right now nga, they're sobrang galing. Like, when I look at technology, just recently, Amazon is, meron sila kasi assistant, yung Alexa. They're partnering with Hyundai. And then Amazon is already going, music. They have this Amazon Unlimited wherein you can listen $15 a year. So parang nagiging Apple, iTunes, and Spotify din siya. All I'm saying is, pag technology kasi, mabilis yan mag-disrupt ng mga bagay. So, hindi ko pwedeng sabihin overvalued or undervalued. Babantayan mo yan, more on yung management, ano tingin mo sa kanila, more or less visionary kasi. So, it's more or less parang, let's say, if I study TGFI, hindi ko rin naman pwedeng aralin on numbers basis only. Especially if you're still a startup. That's how I see Surpass. It's still a startup. Even if billions na yan, from a tech perspective, startup pa rin sila.
Okay. So, yung ating mga nanonood, hello ulit kay Francis, sabi niya, Vita. Nagkakamping ka pa. Okay. Si JCR Fernandez, mga nag-cheer na kanyang stock. Ito na lang, I have a last question. Ito, very simple question na lang. From Geraldine Jose, kasi yung kanyang situation eh. Okay. Tama ba ginawa ko when I sold MPI shares dahil negative 0.5% lang siya to buy GFC? Oh, sorry. Nag-ano yata yung camera. Okay. So, okay. Ulitin natin. Tama ba ginawa ko when I sold MPI shares dahil negative 0.5% lang siya to buy at GFC at a very minimal price of, I want to lower down my GFC cost average. Siguro dahil napabili siya ng Jollibee stocks. Medyo nalito ako sa question
niya. Ano ginawa niya? Bumili siya ng MPI. Tapos, binenta niya MPI.
Binenta niya. Jollibee. Okay. Yeah, bumili siya ng Jollibee. I think nag-loss pa yung Jollibee
niya. I wanted to lower down my GFC cost average kasi.
I think bumagsak pa lalo. Bumili siya ng Jollibee at certain price. Siguro dahil nag-negative 10, baka naabutan siya doon.
Hindi ko alam actually kung ano yung...
medyo nalito kami sa question ni Geraldine, pero siguro na lang if they were to look on Jollibee situation right now.
I think sinabi niya is nag-search na MPI, 5% cut siya, bumili siya ng Jollibee.
Yes.
Tapos sobrang baba na kasi ng Jollibee.
Thinking niya,
na tama. Well, honestly, it's a hard thing, no? Kasi parang walang tama, walang mali. Unang-una, some people really like MPI. So parang in a market crash, some people would actually vote, vote to have more infrastructure weighting. And then at the end of the spectrum, people would also think, oy, Jollibee itong binibili ko, bakit ito binentahan ng sobra-sobra? There's no, I don't know the answer for that. Parang at the end of it all, I think there will always be a buyer of Jollibee. It's just that syempre, pag tinignan mo yung technical condition, hindi ganun kabilis. Given na sinira mo some support levels, hindi ganun kabilis yan naakyat. It has leeway to fall. Given na actually, some people might argue na 230, 240 is your resistance. I'll wait. Kumbaga parang if hindi ko mabiling 200, ikaw nabili mo lang 10% loss, 10% down nung that day. But who knows, pwede siyang mag-another 5% down in the next couple of days.
Yes. Ito na lang, Nikki. Last question from my end. Last na talaga. Okay. At the end of the year, for the index, ano sa tingin mo? From your own prediction, at how many points?
It's so hard. Honestly, like, for me, yun nga, yung mga questions kanina na tama ba na isell ko to, ibili ko to, or ano ba yung index na ending mo this year, it's actually not important. Kasi a lot of people thought that the index will crash this year, 2016, and yet the index stayed. Actually, it even went 8,000, and now we're back to 7,000. The key here to understand is nobody really knows what's gonna happen next year. But if I would make a prediction, I'd say that the downside is another I mean, if really worst comes to worst, we go back to 6,000, 6,100.
Okay.
But on the upside, the best case scenario is 8,000. So at 7K, you're neither bullish or neither bearish.
yeah.
Kasi parang you're gitna.
Yes.
Diba? Parang pwede kang mag 8K, pwede kang mag 6K. Nandito ka sa gitna. We're here waiting for a lot of earnings, infra spending, catalyst, naghihintay ka lang. But, yun nga, as we said, may mga outliers who would have known. Ako, hindi ko alam na buying LIHC at 99 cents just October 28. Tingnan mo naman ngayon, 1.39.
Ganun.
That's a 39% move. And until now, ano bang ginagawa ni Lick?
Yeah.
I'm not promoting this stock. All I'm saying is, if you don't know what's gonna happen. So, tingnan mo kung anong outliers, anong leaders, anong malakas. Tapos, siguro, try
may
to
sentiment.
understand
Okay.
kung bakit kaya malakas to. Or at least nag-hold siya. So, siguro just do your best to find these eccentric leaders, tapos stick to it. Whatever the reasons of people, forget it. Basta malakas yun.
Okay, so yan, sa mga ka-TGFI na gusto pang humabol ninyong katanungan, pasensya niya, medyo overtime na tayo. Yan, sama ng tingin sa akin ng aking mga kasama dito. Okay, but it's okay. Dahil kung kayo ay may mga katanungan, you can also always ask Nikki. Maybe Nikki, siguro how, maybe ano lang, if anything there's anything you want to promote muna.
We can always collaborate with TGFI for more market updates. But really, you can also go to bukaka.com. It's bookaka.com. You can ask questions there. You can type it in, and then I think some of the people would definitely give you an answer. The thing about asking questions is that our answers are never certainly correct. We could also be wrong. So that's why I try as much as possible not to give opinions on stocks. Kasi mamaya I could be bullish and then the next day I'll be bearish and you don't understand what I'm talking about. Kasi, you said you like this, then next day you don't like it. Kasi the markets are changing every day.
Okay. Siguro ano na rin, Nikki, how can they also contact you? Any contact numbers? Well, how can they reach you aside from Bukaka?
If you have a question, you can message me through my Faceless Trader. It's a Facebook group. You could probably put a message there. I'll read. I don't read often, pero I'll visit it. So I'll be able to see it.
I-add mo daw ba sila?
Ha? I can't add friends anymore. Pero definitely, I can definitely answer questions.
Okay.
Wag niyo na ako i-private message kasi honestly, nahirapan ako i-basa yung inbox.
Okay. So, sa mga ka-TGFI na if you want to ask more, further, so punta lang kayo sa group nila. So, My Faceless Trader. Tama ba? Faceless Trader. And then, or go to their website at that's www.bukaka.com, bookaka.com.
You can follow at Bukaka and then it's free naman. So, you can just search for it. Then, read lang.
Yes, okay. So, good thing you're able to attend our TGFI Live. At least nagka-idea kayo. About sa TA versus FA, we'll try to, reschedule it because hindi natin maiwasan ganun ka-traffic sa Manila, nagka-cancel yung iba natin guests. But we'll just schedule some other day. We'll just let you know. For next week, we'll teach you naman on how to make money out of blogging. Diba? That will be next Thursday. Of course, for the 25th of November, again, kayo po ay inaanyayahan namin because you'll get to know more about agri-investing or you get to know more about the aquaculture business. So, yung mga meron dyang malalapit sa mga ponds o yung may kamag-anak sila na malapit sa dagat or gusto nyong matutunan tong business na to, tong negosyo na to, no? You just have to attend because a good thing with online classes is that hindi mo naman kailangan puntahan yung isang location. All you have to do is you need to have a good internet connection, of course, at least 1 Mbps. You need to have a laptop or maybe a mobile phone, and then you can already attend. Ganun lang siya kasimple. Okay, so that will be November 25. That's 7 p.m., no? Okay, so that's yun yung nakikita nyo sa harapan ng inyong mga screens. And what else? November 26, we'll be having a seminar in Singapore. Kung kayo po ay taga Singapore, that will be the last event of the year for our Singapore community. And of course, the rest of our communities, alam ko this Saturday, TGFI Davao, they have another event, Saturday or Sunday. Kalimutan ko lang. And Saudi Arabia, of course, they have their own website na. And of course, the rest of our communities, watch out lang kayo. Yung aming trip for Middle East, medyo na-cancel ng konti. But of course, we'll schedule it again and we'll just let you know. Okay? So sa lahat ng online ngayon, magandang araw ulit. No? So again, maraming salamat for joining us for today, and we of course we enjoyed our session. Watch out for next Thursday's webinar, and of course our November 25 webinar with aquaculture topic. Again, thank you Nikki for joining us for today. Thank you for our ka-TGFI na nanonood. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, magandang tanghali, magandang umaga, magandang araw ka-TGFI. Bye!